After the highs of engagement and wedding, it's only natural to experience a little coming down to earth together. Whether you ease yourselves into it gracefully or instantly deflate like a popped balloon is pretty much up to the two of you. So, dear daughter, let me offer some pearls to soften the blow and sweeten the transition a little. Newsflash: your husband is not a superhero. You are now either rolling your eyes and saying, duh, or clutching your heart, completely mortified that I should even suggest his lack of powers. Truth is, even if we don't admit it, we all put our husbands on the superhero pedestal. Even the strongest, most independent among us expect him to step up and perform the impossible. When we dream of being married, we long for a perfect partner. We anticipate he will be most, if not all, of the following: communicative, a good listener, reliable, spontaneous, strong, gentle, a good provider, generous, romantic, attentive, understanding, sensitive, punctual, funny, charming, and never late home for dinner. Is that too much to ask? Well, yes, especially all at the same time, and especially for a poor, unsuspecting newlywed husband. Kalia leaned over and whispered, "Hear that, fella? They're going to take you with the other horses." At that moment, Hattie Reese reappeared at her front door. "I paid for 'em! I paid for 'em!" she cried. Jim turned from the truck and went to the woman. "Why did you buy them if you couldn't care for them?" Hattie looked at him. "My husband lost his job 2 months ago. One day 3 men came through here with a trailer full of horses. The horses were beautiful, they were. The driver of the truck stopped for some water. I told him how beautiful the horses were and asked what they were going to do with them. The older man said they were going to auction. I asked how much he expected to get for them, and he said about $1,000 apiece. It just happened we had $7,000 of my husband's pension fund, which he cashed in when he lost his job. We used that money to buy the horses, thinking after a few weeks we could sell them and make a profit. But nobody was interested, and finally we couldn't afford to buy feed. When the horses ate all the grass in our yard, we didn't know what to do. Hay was too expensive for all that we needed." She buried her head in her hands and sobbed. "I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do." Issues came up at the office which required much mental energy, and I was earnestly trying to finish an audiobook at home during the evening and weekend hours. The Saturday before the big day, I worked on editing a chapter of the book. Headphones on, listening to myself narrating a Christmas story, it hit me like a Mack truck. The appointment. The appointment is this Tuesday. It's almost here. The concerns and worry about the upcoming tests and possible results immediately rushed to the forefront of my mind. Monday morning, one of my dear coworkers asked me if I was okay. At that point, I didn't even realize how much the anxiety from the issue weighing on me showed on my face. Later in the day, as I looked at my calendar, the nearness of the pending showdown was made obvious to me again. I shared my fears with my coworker, and she said she would be praying. Tuesday dawned bright and sunny, the opposite of how I felt inside. The storm clouds inside grew thicker and darker as I tried to work. I felt irritable and impatient about everything, and a sick feeling invaded my stomach. I am not one to lose my appetite, but at lunch I couldn't eat anything. Finally, the clock read 3 o'clock, and I left work for the late afternoon appointment. I prayed as I drove. "Please, Lord, if it be your will, please let everything be okay. Please help me to have the right reaction and trust you should the test results indicate cancer." After we returned, we all went to our grandparents' side of the house to have something hot to drink with Grandma's hot fried peach pies. During that time, Daddy Joe often stopped, put his fingers to his lips, listened, and then sadly shook his head before taking another sip of coffee. We were waiting for a sign. because Santa Claus always came to our house late Christmas Eve. We knew that because Daddy Joe said so from the time I could remember. Our house was one of the first on his delivery list, and we were lucky since some children didn't get their delivery until they woke up the next morning. The adults chatted while drinking coffee, but Tara Lynn and I listened for any sound announcing Santa's arrival. Every few seconds, Daddy Joe held up his hand for silence, listened intensely, then, once again, sadly shook his head. Listen as we may, we were never fortunate to be the one that heard the pawing on the roof or the jingle of Santa's bells. It was always Daddy Joe who heard Santa first. Suddenly, he set his cup down and made a loud shushing sound. He cocked his head to one side and then the other, and, smiling from ear to ear, he whispered, "I think I heard something. Did you hear that?"